Hey, it's working. Welcome back, everyone, to another week of beating down Cramer. We got to smack him around a bit, but he did get a couple kudos from the Monday list. And, well, we've got price action happening it's been consolidating for a while, but we've got some really good price action happening today, even though it's a bit bearish out there. At the same time, we're kind of overextended. So we're looking into the S&P, of course, and things are kind of in a swifty area, I like to call it, where things can just suddenly click, and then all of a sudden we get volatility. I love volatility. And that's what we do to earn a living. We trade that volatility. So welcome back again, and thanks for liking and subscribing, of course. Be sure to tell your friends, because our accuracy is phenomenal compared to pretty much most of the analysts that we know, and we know a lot of them. Anyway, how's your week going there?
Oh, so far so good. We just launched our 2x long and 2x short Bitcoin yesterday. Been working on that for God knows how long. So good to finally get those out there. Seeing a little bit of volume. Got options listed today. So all good.
Sweet. And we're talking about BTCL is the long and BTCZ is the short. And
That is correct.
I think these are going to be fun to trade. And from an options income strategist such as myself, once that options volume comes in, I could literally hold a position in both of these and be basically a delta neutral long position while making income on options. I love that idea. I can be long and short and dead even for risk while maintaining income on options selling premium. I love that concept. That's going to be thrilling. And I think as soon as the bid-ask spread tightens up on the options chain, dude, it'll be good to go. This will be a killer strategy to run, I'm pretty sure. Looking into that, I always say this when we have something that's starting out, if it's an IPO that doesn't necessarily have a big rush of volume in here and you're having trouble seeing anything with the candles, get your candles out and go to the HA style candles. And whoops, I got to adjust my screen width here. I forgot to do that. There we go. Get it back in focus there on our broadcast so y'all can see numbers. What's cool about these is we get a pretty obvious range here. I mean, you've got trading from about 25.05 to about 25.90 is range here on this thing for the long side. And then with the BTCZ, and you had a bit of a snafu this morning, but I think it's all worked out.
Just growing pains with the new custodian. No big deal.
Yeah, just a little script adjustment, but you'll see they're both opened as of yesterday, so they're both going to be about the same price until Bitcoin really starts moving. So they're both right around $25, $24 respectively. And this is the BTCZ. We see some pretty good range so far here. We got a little over, it's about $2 worth. I can dig that. I love day trading stuff like that. Even in low volume. And these HA candles, the Heikin-Ashi candles, really help for being able to spot your price action with that. They don't give you range, but they do give you trend, and that's what they're designed to do. Otherwise, you get ticky-tacky little specks of candles. So until the volume really increases, like you see on things like TSLT, this is another one that has come along and given us absolute amazing trades. And I was actually able to run a covered call on this, by the way. And I ended up getting assigned immediately because I was only a couple strikes out of the money. But hey, I made some appreciation on it and did well with the premium too, so that worked out good. And I still have a little position on this. Currently, I'm trading Tesla options directly too, and I don't know if you guys have been keeping up with my Twitter channel, just Scalp at J. But I'm holding a 1,400% return on a very unorthodox spread. I'm out to September 20 expiration, and I'm trading a 350, 355 spread, and paid 4 cents a piece for those. They're trading at 65 cents this morning in peak, and that is about a 1,400% return. Some of that I've locked into butterflies by selling credit spreads above them. The rest of since I bought a pretty sizable position, I sold about a third of it off directly to just lock in profit and completely turn my risk altogether negative. So there's nothing I can lose in this. It's a can't lose situation. I'll ride it for a while. And earnings coming up on Tesla fairly soon. Going to get volatile. Price action wise, it's done pretty much everything in a bag of chips for us. We've got our reversal. We've got our nice, beautiful head and shoulders that did take off. It did break the neckline, and that's where we got long. And we started calling out, okay, well, 207 was the next target. 222 was a reversion of this trend here. And then the whole old descending channel here that we were looking to, short for a little while has made its reversion target and then some. So this is the reversion pivot right up here at about 260. Just blew through that this morning. And we still have an extension up here to find liquidity. I usually shade these orange, but they're so broad on the short-term charts that I turn them gray so they don't blind you. But we're running probably around 275 to 277 for the extension target if this continues to run up. That's about the mean of this. And then this is an old analyst target up here at about $300. And if you pull out to the monthly chart, you'll see that that's about the mean of this entire massive descending channel here. So it works out. We could see some nice reversion trades in this, and it's what we've been doing with Tesla. It's pretty much everything I do with Tesla is a reversion trade. And if you were with us way back when, I knocked it out of the park hitting that 207 pivot with this trade on the Q4 earnings a couple years back. I saw some things happening that no one was looking at. That worked out great. Same situation here. There's some background stuff happening. We've got the Tesla androids and all that stuff happening. Going to be an interesting shift in factory workers being taken over by robots. I mean, this is a future that they've been calling out since, the 50s? It's actually happening. So,
or maybe the 30s, but yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Probably about the 30s. I mean, it's we're all going to be George Jetson eventually, just getting our button finger worn out. Well, us traders anyway. I guess the reality is starting to actually sink in from that. Anyway, we had some interesting Cramer call-outs. If you got the email list this morning, it wasn't really all that broad because there wasn't really much interesting coming out of Cramer for the last session, but the Monday session was interesting, so I'm going to start picking off a few of those. And let me start by pulling up my watch list. Got a bunch of them in there. Of course, Tesla is on it, on the buy side. He was talking about that this week, and when he was talking about it, it's funny because we did get a nice follow-through on that. He was talking about it, and we blasted up. We got the opposite of the Cramer bar. We got a bull bar out of it when he said buy it. Kudos to you, sir. You did well. But now what?
Yeah, and actually, now that you just mentioned that, something bad happened to Tesla.
Gotta love it. My credit spreads are going to be bought to cover for about half of what I sold them for. I'm pretty sure that's my target.
We're at a high water mark here for Tesla Z in terms of assets. That's the 2x short. So I think a lot of people are taking the other side of Cramer here. But wow, that just...
I think so.
I mean, Tesla was near flat when we started this call, I think.
Yeah, it was just nice and flat, consolidating right in that range. There's the sell-off. There's your Cramer bar now. I guess it was just a delayed reaction.
No. I mean, this is live, right?
Yeah, this is live.
Yeah, I mean, people are listening.
That's got to be it.
Obviously.
Well, we're doing good then. What's our attendance right now? I gotta look. Thanks, guys. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, we've definitely nailed this. Effectively, every time Cramer says buy something high like this, and this has been freaking absolutely parabolic forever. Do your own due diligence. Don't just chase them into a trade. Yeah, we did give him the kudos for giving the right buy signal, but by the time he got the word out, it was already pretty damn high, guys. So be aware that Cramer provides liquidity more than anything. Moving on. Six Flags was an interesting one. Even my wife pulled me aside and said, hey, Six Flags got bought out or whatever. What was it, Knott's Berry Farm bottom out or however that went? Whatever. I don't pay that much attention to the news, but I do know that, Cramer said buy it, and here we are looking pretty red. Reversion trade underway, looking for about 50-50 on this one first. If it continues to go a little lower, maybe we hit about 49. Did you guys did any of the ETFs take a short on that one, or we're still kind of waiting for this to settle?
Yeah, no, nothing, nothing on the short side on this one.
I can't remember who bought who. Was it Six Flags bought Knott's or Knott's bought? I think it was Knott's bought Six Flags.
I don't remember. Now it's hard enough watching and writing down what he likes and what he doesn't, but
True enough.
anything more than that is just difficult to pay attention through the ridiculousness.
I've seen a lot of the cliche trades that happen whenever you hear the words buyout. It sucks because a lot of retail gets roped into chasing buyouts, thinking everything's going to be like, ripping and roaring. But you got to remember, when you hear the word buyout, remember when you hear the word buy, that money doesn't just come out of nowhere. It comes out of equity. So whether it's one company buying another or two companies consolidating, it costs money. And when you see the hype wave end, it's usually a really good short. We've seen this way back in the day with T-Mobile and all that jazz. It just, it gets into an effective, massive move, and usually it returns to mean. So here we are returning to mean. Pretty easy, obvious trade setup. So usually I'll wait for that hype wave to settle. I'll wait for low delta where the options implied volatility falls off, and then just run some bearish positions. It's very typical of my style of trading. Whenever you pay attention to that, you've got other outfits out there that pay attention to chatter and stuff like that, and they listen to a lot of the social media people talking back and forth. I don't have to. The chart tells me everything I need to know. But when I hear a news pop where something's getting bought out or something like that, I usually will short the pop. Just my style. Speaking of pops, then there's Nvidia. Holy Moses. Look at that bar. Cramer said buy it. Here we go. And it's not just Tesla, but we're right back to a mean reversion. So we may see some buyers in here, and there's possibly going to be sitting right around 128, 127 here. Do we think we want to go for a long on this thing? Well, careful, because this is still looking like it's going to consolidate into a giant flag. If it breaks this mean, we've got an extension down here like 122.80 possible. So
right now it's interesting. We're seeing 100 and I don't know whether it's buys or sells yet. We're seeing 146 million dollars worth of volume on our 2x long and only 31 on our short. My guess is we see buyers today on at least from our side.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I mean, it's right in that base for a reversion. So this is about where the buyers would be if they're going to be here, about 128. I might even take a long on that. Let's see if we can dig into this a little better. Yeah, look for that 2-hour bar. There it is. Watch for doji here. You get a 3-bar, you'll revert half and then whole of that bar pretty typically. And then monthly, yeah, we parabolic is all get at on this thing, but it just keeps adding measured move after measured move. So the block target would be, about 149, 148.80, somewhere in that neighborhood. And the extension target would be all the way up here around 168 to 170. So that's very, very possible.
I'd be watching the 10-day at 127.12 and then the 20-day at 125.42. In this recent dip, the 20-day has held. The 10-day has been violated, but the 20-day has held.
And I do, I tend to at least have an 8-period moving average on mine, and it's right at the daily 8-period right now. So I'm usually pretty good about kind of paralleling the crowd that says ride the 9, so to speak, when it comes to trends. And for me, the 8-period is just a little bit faster, but it's also a little bit more accurate for me. I've seen almost every candle directly taps that 8-period and moves on when it's trending.
Yeah.
So that's just my style, and everybody's got their own favorite indicators and own favorite moving averages. That's just the one I use. I like to try and keep my charts as clean as possible is all. I draw my charts so much. If you've joined me in the live streams and Bullish Bears, my charts look like absolute hell by the time I'm done drawing on them. I have to blank them out once in a while just so I can see where I'm going. But when you've got to draw so much, you really kind of leave out a lot of room for indicators. Because I'm in an educational standpoint, I got to be able to show people what I'm seeing and why I'm seeing it. So I'm going to end up drawing a lot of my charts. It's just the way I am. So essentially, when we're looking at stuff like this for reversion trades, we'll usually look down into a 5-minute trend and see where we're at. 15-minute chart will tell us where our bulk move is, but short-term reversion, if we splash here and we start finding some buyers like we're seeing come in, and you're seeing inflows on the ETF, I'm thinking about 131, 132 would be a good reversion play off this low here. So pretty good swing. The options chain would kill it with that. Running debit spreads, you could get some really good entries around here. I think I might look at that as soon as we're done with our broadcast here. The one mention that came out of the email this morning, Dover Corp. This is, I don't know, man. I'm a little leery on this one. It's right at an angular resistance. I went ahead and drew it. Monthly chart, you zoom out on this thing, you really get, good Lord, I got to compress the crap out of this to really see it. You really get these nice double tops with reversion trades pretty regularly on this one if you look back far enough. And we're outside break of a previous wedge. So we have this really big monthly wedge right here. And you can see that it's made a measured move out and hit resistance here. I don't know that I would buy it here. And because Cramer said buy it and it's at a top tick area, I might dig in a little deeper and start doing some diligence on this and be like, well, we've made our reversion of a little descending channel here. This is going to be a wedge in itself. It's likely to return to mean, maybe say about 178.50 or so. So watch for a good little scalp to go short on this thing once it, if it gets rejected by.
And I'd be careful. And again, I'd do some more homework on this. I think, and let me preface, I think this is one of those industrials that's got itself tied in some way, shape, or form to AI. And so, I think you've got some AI hype in here, which is why it could also, break out to new highs. So I'd just be careful shorting it. I'd want to make sure you knew exactly, who these guys were and what they did.
Oh, for sure. And when I say short, I'm like scalping, very short term.
Yeah.
Maybe a day. But I'm looking at, an extension target. If it does break out of this wedge, we're looking at 185 for the make it or break it line. That'll be the key pivot for this. It's more or less a reversion on the wedge. If it breaks out north of that, cool, we can go long on it. But in the meantime, we got a big parabolic move. Cramer comes out and says buy it. He's notorious for top ticking. So short term, we could take a reversion trade. If this breaks over and gets faded here, break that angular, run back to like 181, 182. And if it gets into Swifty territory and goes half of this whole trend, we're looking, 178 to 180 for a good short target if it breaks over. So when I say that, I'm saying short term for day traders, maybe overnight swings, that kind of thing. But yeah, you're right. It can definitely rip a face off and pull an NVIDIA and run much higher. And this will be the make it or break it line right here at 185 for sure. Looking a little further also, since we have a nice measured move up here, we got a block and a block. A reversion's been made 1, 2, 3 times. It failed the third time and went lower. So if this is going to wedge out here, that reversion trade would be right on target right there. So you can get a short scalp out of this, but in general, longs will be welcomed later on. So look for buyers in certain areas. So when you see liquidity, mark it out. You'll see there's a mean right about there. And if I drew a liquidity box on this wick or this wick, you'd see some buyers right in that range. That's where that bar began. So be aware, though. It is a bit top-ticky at this point for a pullback, at least in this trend. And, whenever Cramer says buy it, man, I'm always really leery of those.
Yeah.
Another one mentioned on Monday's broadcast, I think it was Dick's Sporting Goods. This thing is all over the place. There's one on every neighborhood, basically. Company makes money. It's a giant. It's been parabolic for a while. It's kind of due for a wedge and a pullback here, and we can see this is looking like strength is gathering here. So we're consolidated. Don't know that we want to short this or long this yet, but we definitely have a setup beginning to take shape here. and we could either break support and run for a reversion trade all the way down to like 140s, or we're going to hold here and continue running higher after consolidation, probably by about the end of the month.
So
Maybe.
this one's a few cents under the 50-day. I think if it pops above, so 207.86 is the 50-day. I think if it pops above that, it could be buyable. But if it bumps up against it and fails, that would be, the 50-day would be my line one way or the other, short or long.
Yeah, good point. And I can see there's some liquidity change right here. It'll be a bit of a supply zone there. And this gap has never really been all the way filled, though. That's where the concern is. So if it rejects, we get bear targets. If it holds, we get bull targets. Simple as that. But it's taking shape. We're going to get a good trade out of this one way or another. And I think this consolidation should wrap up by about the end of July here. And we should be able to see an outside move. Can I say Cramer's called a good buy here? Well, yeah, maybe.
We'll see.
Just watch for liquidity right around 210 or so, and if they start selling here, we could take a quick short and revert about back to this range here. It's kind of typical when you see a trend like this on the 4-hour and you see a clear bear flag. Bear flags don't always play through. Sometimes they'll trap. You'll get a big liquidity grab, and then they'll reject at about a reversion somewhere within that previous trend, and then when they do, they'll get sold off again and they'll come right back to the consolidation level. If they break it, then you get bearish trades. So for now, it's consolidating. It could be a failed bear flag, but it certainly looks like a bear flag, and we've got a bunch of liquidity coming in, so be careful. There may be some sellers waiting up here to short this. So I'll wait patiently on this one. I'm not going to call either side until it gives me a sign of which way to go. Consolidation brands. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I said that makes sense.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. It cut off for a second, so I got a little piece of it. I thought you were saying something else. Consolidated brands, man, this thing's kind of a really hard trade for most people. This is a bit choppy. But for day traders, we do pretty well with it typically. Pardon me a second.
Yeah, I mean, for what this company is, way too choppy for me. I mean, it's a consumer stock, so
Yeah,
I just plain stay away.
it's definitely for traders. I mean,
Yeah.
swing traders don't like it because it is choppy, but day traders, we kind of love this thing. We've done very well with day trading this in the past. You can see it's got as choppy as this move is. A to B up here, you got this whole move here. Reversion target is right in the middle. We're just about to hit it today. Can it give us a short since Cramer said, buy it? Yeah, maybe. But look, it's already done this. So we've already made a reversion trade on this thing once, reversion twice. That looks a little like a double bottom in this case, so we could see some buyers come in and run this thing higher. It is definitely a hype and FOMO fueled equity, as it is a consumer stock, and we can really make some killer day trades on it in the short term. You can see some pretty nice movement.
I would imagine.
But it definitely doesn't come without attacks. This thing is going to be something that challenges even the best traders. And right now we're looking at, we're consolidating. We're either going to break north or break south in this range here. And we may get a quick, if this ends up being that the sellers come in strong at about 258, which they've done once and twice, we may see a quick short back to support, which is about this last low here, about 256. So you get a couple dollars movement in the options chain. That makes really good sense to leverage that for day traders. And then a reversion trade would be all the way down here at about 255. So for the day traders, we could see a decent short into the close on this thing, possibly. But if it ends up consolidating here and breaking out to the north, we get a pretty nice ballistic move up here to about 262. So be careful if you're going to try to short this, but scalping it, yeah, it's what it's made for. This thing is choppy as hell. Another choppy mess is typically Cisco. This one, We don't mess with this one very much just because it just doesn't offer a lot in the options chain. But
It also doesn't move a whole heck of a lot.
yeah, it's not very big movement. And Cramer said buy it. I don't know, man. I don't like holding stuff like that. The dividend just isn't really worth much to me. I'd rather sell income on it or something like that. But this is not interesting to me. It doesn't move big enough.
No, not interesting at all.
I'm gonna step through it and get to the real stuff like Apple. Apple above 230 was a shock to a lot of people this morning, but lo and behold, if this closes a weekly doji here, we're gonna get a reversion trade and test support at about 198. It is a bit parabolic to a lot of people. Looking left here, we've basically
more than a bit. I mean, it's up. It was at 170 at the beginning of May, so
yeah, it's come a ways, and
it's Apple, so it's not
right. It is Apple, and
I'd watch the 10-day at 220, 257 for support
for sure. You can see the measured move here when you build the blocks. The primary move, the consolidation, I usually sort it to the mean on the consolidation with my blocks. That target has been met at 233. So be on the lookout for a few people to take profit on this and maybe give you a reversion trade. You might get a swing and return to about 197, 198 or so. We're certainly starting to see some sellers in here. Cramer said buy it. There's your Cramer bar coming up.
Yeah.
Short-term reversion gives you a little less than that, about 220 or so. So we can start setting up some pivots and making some decent little swing trades here. But I think
216.92 is the 20-day. I'd look at that if the 10-day fails.
Oh, for sure. And then of course draw a line right through the middle of this. 212 is the extension. Pretty easy to see. Yeah, reversion trades, baby. I think that's going to be the swing of things. And this is where, over at Bullish Bears, we call this debit spread season because we kill it with debit spreads over there on stuff like this. And Apple's great for trading debit spreads on. So I think the puts are going to start coming alive here if they haven't already. And they have. We start seeing some reversion trades pretty easy on this stuff. For now, we're looking at probably a bear flag forming up here in the day, and we make it an overnight measured move down to those targets to the south. And, 1 for 1 on today's move takes us right to about 219, 220. So let's wait for this consolidation. It'll give us a break. We'll have probably a good swing trade overnight. Day traders love this thing. Apple's just great for trading.
You keeping an eye on this Tesla?
I didn't take a look at it yet. Whoa! Nice. I might be looking to buy my credit spreads back right now.
Something bad just happened. Jeez.
Let me see where they're at. Sweet. Getting closer. Yeah, boy. I'm going to be looking to buy that credit spread back immediately if this goes any lower than this point. That'll be a good... I'll buy them back for about half what I sold them for. Yeah, nice. Keep going, Tesla. Thank you. Thanks, Uncle Elon. He's been paying my bills lately. Moving into Amazon, same news. Big sell-off. And, Amazon pierced the $200 veil this week, set up a false bull flag, gave us a reversion trade almost to the T. And 193 was the bear target on that one. Pretty easy trades. Going into the long term, though, we went to just under on the weekly chart here, just under half of a measured move above. So we usually get a 1 for 1, very common. 1.5 for 1 is very common. 2 for 1, very rare. So we're looking for reversion trades. Right here is where they'll be. 180 would be the ultimate target for bears to continue trending if things do continue to sell off. Short-term reversion target about 189 to 190. So we could see some movement out of Amazon here. But be mindful that this can also present a buying opportunity should things continue to rise. And this is a company that's been well known for maintaining high profit margins. So Amazon may present a good buying opportunity. I might look at some September 20 debit spreads on this as well. I missed my entry going to that 200 target, but I think I'll get a nice reprieve here to get another shot at it if I want to look for a long position. I'm going to be looking in the next few days, I think. Should we get into the sells?
Let's do it.
This has been kind of fun. Last week he had a few bottom ticks that crushed him. This week I think he's going to get more of the same. He said sell SSL. I'm looking at this like maybe I wouldn't sell it here. Let me go into the daily chart and show you why. It's basically at a reversion, so I'm going to wait and maybe see if this holds support here around 750. It may give us a face-ripping rally to $9. It doesn't sound like a big move, but percentage-wise, when you're trading on stuff like that, that's pretty huge.
Yeah, I mean, it could end up filling that gap. But that's, yeah, I don't even know what this company is. I think they're probably better things to trade than this.
Oh, for sure. It is a penny stock, and they're penny stocks for a reason. The one thing I noticed on it was the weekly chart, and this looks like basic market structure. You get that sell-off after the hype wave, and accumulation is what we're going to look at for the next probably few months here. Typically, this was a accumulation zone that people were looking at, but they didn't look far enough left to realize that there was all this momentum to take into effect. My yellow line here is like the base average of where I could expect that to go, and it certainly has hit it recently. If it consolidates in this range for a while longer, it can make some reversion trades, but you can see it failed here. And effectively, when people started chasing this, they got smoked from $12 down. So that's where the bag holders will be. There's going to be a lot of people that are, roped into this type of stuff when Cramer says buy it, as I'm sure he did at some point. But now he's saying sell it, and we're at the bottom, kind of where the accumulation zone would be. I wouldn't be surprised if liquidity gets grabbed around 750 and it starts to run back up for a $9 push. So this can get one more little short squeeze out of it. If we have time afterwards, I'll show you what we did with MLGO, kind of a similar thing, but a massive move. We scalped the crap out of that for like 3 Tuesdays in a row.
Nice.
But let's go into the other thing he said sell first, New Fortress Energy. Energy's hard for me to trade this year. I don't know if it's been for you.
Yeah, I mean, I trade energy a ton, but it is always hard for me to. Yeah, I mean, I've done all right. Yeah, ConocoPhillips is a big gainer for me. I mean, it's a mixed bag. Yeah, I'm a mean reversion guy, and I mean, I don't know that energy is the best as far as mean reversion goes. I mean, I like this chart though. If it gets over the 10-day, which is 2026, I mean, that's a nice little undercut and rally.
You see it run there. Yeah, I mean, as far as rotation goes, like I'll look at other stuff first. I want to see, what's going on in the grand scope of things, and you got OPEC and all the other balls in the air juggling and stuff. But generally, I just look for rotation, and I just haven't really been convinced of it this year for energy myself. But we're starting to find kind of a base area where we might see some rotation, and coming into an election year, we know it's going to be volatile right through that. So maybe we'll get some swings out of it. But in the meantime, I just haven't been really impressed with energy that much this year.
No, I mean, neither have I. I mean, I trade it. Right now I'm short XOP and OIH, so 2 of the energy ETFs, but I don't know that I'm making any money on them.
Yeah, it's just been a rough year for energy, in my opinion, as well. But when Cramer says sell this thing and it's at kind of a low, and it's like, well, wait a minute now, we got some support in this area, so I wouldn't be jumping ship yet.
Yeah, I mean, the sell was in March when it broke below the 200-day.
Yeah, you missed the boat, Cramer.
That was 10 points ago.
Yeah, but we do a follow through every once in a while just to kind of answer the comment there. We'll go through and review some of the trades some of the times, but for the most part, we're usually just talking about them internally. So we'll pick out some swing trades. We'll find some targets to set up and trade to and from. The follow through usually comes when we go back on Cramer mentioning the same stocks over and over and over again, because he does that a lot. I mean, look at TJX. We've nailed every step of that thing, and that's his babe. And we get into stuff like that. It's pretty easy to follow up because it just comes along with it. But we don't always have time to go back on every single thing he mentions because the man is all over the damn place. We don't always have time to follow up and go through, but we've been tracking our accuracy and we've been pretty dead on with the stuff we have called out for price targets. It's been pretty damn close to a perfect score, so to speak, when we call stuff out. The stuff we skim over and the stuff we just don't necessarily get in depth on and find any real interest in trading it or finding setups, we don't follow up on those because we don't make anything called out on it. We don't really have any targets because it's just not interesting. So we end up skimming over a lot of Cramer's crap, and some of the stuff we find good setups on, some of the stuff we don't. And if I got time, I'm going to go into CRM as well, which is one I've been watching. But one he just mentioned sell on this point is Kava, and he got this one right, CAVA. For the most part, he's called out a pretty good sell, but again, it's
if that breaks the 50-day, that's a nice little short.
Yeah, we could see this thing run all the way down to like 77, maybe even a little less, just a basic reversion trade. Pretty obvious stuff. This might be interesting. So wait for consolidation to break on this thing, and we might see another outside move. We've already got a nice 1-for-1 day to day since he said sell this. I think he said sell this one on Monday, if I'm not mistaken. Or was it today? Today he said sell.
I don't think it was today. Or I mean last night.
Yeah, I think it was the other night. So I mean, we've got a nice 1-for-1 out of that, which, okay, kudos to Cramer on that one. But just, if you're going to stay short on this thing, be careful because this is where you're going to start seeing some support here. But if it does follow through, yeah, we get a nice short to reversion all the way down to like, $78 or so. Pretty easy stuff. We've traded this one bullish before. You can see Cramer mentions this one frequently. This is all the dope on this account that I put into these. That's Cramer. So when we were looking at this, we called out price targets. This is where our accuracy comes from. We find the primary move. I found the setup for short-term and long-term and nailed them both. That's 100% accurate on this one. Easy stuff. The outside moves, he stopped talking about it around, the end of May here. And, we pretty much didn't revisit it. So doesn't mean we haven't been trading it. We also were looking for the reversion, and we definitely got another 1-for-1 out of it. But our accuracy stops with what we see. So when we go to follow up, it's when Cramer mentions it again. We'll go like, yeah, we were right. We nailed those. It was pretty obvious. So one more I wanted to mention, and it's kind of one that I've been watching very carefully, and I might go looking for a long position on CRM here. Still with the AI hype wave kind of slowly finding its middle ground, so to speak. It's made a nice reversion, and you can see the measured move. I didn't block this out, but you got primary accumulation, secondary. It's made those targets very well, even extended to the base of the entire move here. Pretty easy stuff. But now it's consolidated at a point where if it holds this 246 area, we could see a bullish reversal in this mess.
Yeah, watch out. The 50 days 257.34 and the 200s 258.34. So it broke above both of those and then came right back down.
So, I mean, the next step is if it consolidates here, we either get a bull trade to about 278, about the mean reversion of this trend here.
Yeah, you've got a gap fill around 270, then that other gap fill around 290. So some real interesting levels here, but a lot of spots you could use long or short if you were going to trade this name.
And when I stretch it out, I mean, it resembles a continuation pattern overall on the monthly here. Big old bull on a cup and handle, so to speak. Here's the handle. And this is where that channel down hits that third impulse and finds support and either breaks out or fails. So we could see a good trade out of this thing. And I might look at some September 20 call debit spreads on this if it consolidates here and reverses off of that pivot, that 246.50 area. Definitely keep my eye on this one because I think we could see a pretty big move on this thing, and that gap is pretty noticeable. So,
yep.
Definitely pay attention to this one. And then there was another mention I wanted to get onto. I briefed it and then I forgot what the heck it was. Getting old man brain setting in here.
Tell me about it.
It was actually two other things. So we got Chipotle after that split, and we're setting up for a really nice reversion trade possible here to run up to about 62 bucks. Could give us a decent swing. The options chain on that is still pretty much in motion. That thing's rocking and rolling. We've made our pullback after the hype on that forward split. Now we've got a lot more retail involved in this trade, and we're going to start seeing some bigger action. So I think this should be interesting pretty soon here. If it holds a support area around 57 bucks and starts to accumulate into a reversal here, reversion trade's pretty easy on that. And
yeah, I like 56 is kind of some support. Let's see. Yeah, that whole kind of 56 range to me, I'd want to see hold. If not, you've got the 200 day at 51.59.
right, yeah, a little lower down. And I think if you look at the history on this thing, it's pretty good about making reversion swings. But here is an area where, yeah, it could go either way. But if we see a nice little double bottom form when we break above 58.60 or so, we could see some bullish momentum stop right up to about 59.75, or maybe even extend to a full reversion on the big trend to that 62 target. But at the same time, take that with a grain of salt, because if it doesn't hold, there's a big old gap to fill right here, and we could trip the wire and go down to that 51 target, maybe stop briefly at 55.80. But that is also in play as well, so it's very possible to go either way. But right here, it's starting to get interesting. It's either going to make a reversion and then drop, or it's going to make a reversion and consolidate for a while, or it can just consolidate here and break over to the south. So it's definitely going to give us an interesting trade. We just don't have a direction just yet. Wait for this to shake out, and we'll find something with it pretty quick here. Another one. Disney. I closed my shorts on that thing when it broke through my 98 target and started hitting 97 and 96. Now they had some news where I guess there's going to be a strike or something like that. It closed this gap. That's pretty much where my base targets were for going short on this thing. Pretty easy reversion trade if you look at this trend here. But now I'm looking for consolidation here. Maybe if they end up with some good news after this strike, or maybe they start changing some management decisions and they don't end up in the go woke, go broke category. After all,
I think they're already there.
They're circling that rim, aren't they?
Yeah.
That's rough.
A nice little drop below the 200 day a few days ago. Yeah, I mean, I would not be long this stock.
And the dragon's tail in it all is maybe they get bought out by Apple. Can you imagine?
Yeah, I've heard that a million times.
Right? That's been the old tale forever. But it's been in this bearish trend for a while now, and man, it's just what are they going to do? Are they trying to get bought out? I mean, seriously. That's like a hostile takeover where all the players who are working against it are within the company. That sucks, but this is what it is. We just traded. But can I say anything nice about Disney at this point? I'm just gonna wait and let the chart tell me what it wants to do. If maybe they get a little good news about this, breaking this strike for a short period of time, maybe we'll come back to the top of this bar here. It is a range bar after all. Maybe we'll hit 107.50 or so, possibly on a bull move. But dude, I'm still leaning on bearish with this thing. I took the short on this and made my money here. I can wait patiently for this to do something else interesting before I trade it again. I don't have to care at this point. But keep an eye on it. It's definitely going to give you another setup here in the next probably few weeks, just to say the least about it, so to speak. Let me get into maybe one more. Got time? Up to you.
Yeah.
I don't want to take up your time. I got to respect your time. This was an interesting one, APP. And I don't look into this company at all either for what it does. It's fairly
What's
recent.
APP? Is that Apple Oven?
Yeah,
Yeah.
one of Kramer's call outs. I think he said sell this a while back, and I said wait, and I was right. But now we're looking at kind of a top pattern where we might break over and get some reversion. And I've got drawings all over this thing. This is where I drew one of those reverse wedges where you get the wedge, the reversion line, or the regression line, you draw a measured move out of it. This gave us a 2-for-1 step to the bulls. And around that time, Kramer was saying sell it. We were like, nah, this looks like a bull move. We bought it and went long on it. But now we're waiting for another setup on this thing. It's made a reversion of this trend. So we're right at that wick there on the daily. So looking a little closer.
Undercut and rally today at the 50 day also. So
That's the thought.
theoretically you could go long on this with that the 50 day as a stop.
And that's the consensus that we're looking at. We're at a key support area. We've come back and tested support very well. Long wicks usually indicate a reversal is in play on those longer term charts, and we can see a nice clean double bottom here. Although it's made a reversion for the day already with this move here, it's consolidated. It's at the mean, so it can break for a quick bull trade or a quick bear trade pretty quickly here on our 5-minute chart. So definitely interesting. We may see a nice undercut and rally move out of this, confirm a double bottom and target 83 and maybe reach the old 86.6 fib line up here at about 85 or so. So it should produce a decent amount of trading in it. I don't know if I'd swing it overnight, but I think the day traders are going to start trying to take this this pattern pretty quick here towards the middle of the day and maybe move it.
I'd be careful swinging anything tech overnight with what's going on today. I mean, it's probably a 1-day sell off, but I'd rather wake up and recalibrate than.
Absolutely. Then sit there and panic and have to adjust suddenly.
Yeah.
Good point.
I mean, I'm going to be buying the dip, but I also run a long short portfolio. So my hope is if the market opens up big down tomorrow, that my shorts pushing the blow.
Gotcha. Not to brag, but this is one that we killed it on. We took massive returns on this move here, and this move here, and we're waiting for maybe another move out of this thing. Micro Algo, it's some sort of probably a Chinese company for all I know, but the price action's great. And
what's the symbol on that?
Mike Lima Golf Oscar, MLGO.
I've heard of that. Oh wow.
It's a scalper's dream. I mean, the price action's clean on it. You can see my chart's nasty as hell, but I'm waiting for a reversion setup, and if it holds around $4 here, and we did have a quick little short squeeze this morning on the thing. I don't know if they got a news pop or what, but shot to 580 and reduced. Look for consolidation around $4. If it starts to hold and break back above that 510, we could see yet another reversion trade on this thing to about $11 would be about my goal on this thing. And this thing has been fruitful with producing clean price action and giving us some killer trades. We started kind of keeping an eye on it yesterday and the day before, and we're just waiting for this to kind of hold support and maybe give us a reversion. And you can see that's less than half of the whole move if you include the wicks, but going bar for bar, that's the high end. So maybe shoot for like a 1080 or so would be a good target for exits. But watch this consolidation. It'll give us a quick day trade coming up pretty quick. So this thing is something I just love to scalp. Whenever we see these big moves like this, it's pretty crazy. This thing has had a 1 for 30 or 1 for 10 reverse split here before. And way back in the day, we traded the ever loving you know what out of this move. And this is repeatable action here. This is kind of what we're looking to see as an example. So we got these first two short squeezes, and then we got the reversion trade, and then we got the extension trade, and then we got the mother of all extension trades. Holy smokes.
Wow.
So it's definitely one of those low float stocks that can really rip a face off, and you got to be a little cautious with it. But at the $4 level here, we could see this thing throw up another move to at least half of this trend here. It's very possible. So definitely keep your eyes on this one. It's going to pop up on everybody's scanner and do some things pretty quick here. Just be ready to trot on this thing. But day trade only is my motto on this thing, because you can see one day to the next.
This looks like a day trader.
Yeah, do not swing trade this by any means, but definitely look for some killer scalps on this thing, because those moves are massive, and it's got like 3 million in the share in the float, something like that, that's tradable, and a lot of insider buying and owning on that. It's one of those, it'll move like crazy once in a while type of stocks, and I think we will be watching this for the next few days. Any other mentions?
Nothing I can think of.
I think that's a wrap. We've had a killer week.
Tesla, my God.
Robo-taxi delayed to October. Ah, that's where the news is.
Oh, that's why. Okay.
Good call. Thank you, sir. That was a good comment. And a lot of the other electric car companies will kind of trade along with that. One I was watching the other day, I think it was
Rivian,
ZAPP.
Yeah, Rivian's up.
ZAPP was another one of those killer scalps we made. Market structure doing its thing on this thing. I mean, look at this massive trend consolidate. You can see all my marks for where I was looking for consolidation. You can see a 1-for-20 reverse split here. This is now a low float. Short squeeze was awesome to like $19. Back to the mean now, so we're at like 820, 830 or so. And we could see this thing make another quick scalp for a move off of this. If this becomes a double bottom for the day, holding around 824, we could see a quick scalp to about 1160 on this thing later on today if this robo-taxi news bounces. But you can definitely see there's some bearish movements happening here.
Yep.
Along with NEO and XPNG and all those other.
Just not Rivian, the one I'm sure. I'm short Tesla too, but
yeah,
because Rivian took a beating.
And it's sympathetic plays. Pretty simple. Electric cars, they get news like that, they're going to move. And, if you watch the news and do your due diligence in technical analysis and combine the two, and maybe throw a little Cramer in there with it, you make some pretty killer trades. And we've done that. That's what we teach over there. So we teach you how to find these things. We'll call some out when we see them. And on our YouTube channel, we give you the fruit. So if we're digging into Cramer and picking him off, we'll find something for you. Just pay attention to the nuances. When we say, where the targets are, we're usually pretty dead on if we give targets. If we're just yapping about it like, I don't know about this one, kind of look somewhere else. We'll find something more interesting to trade. There's always at least 2 interesting trades every week with us, so we'll go with that. All right, well, I think that's a good wrap, man. We've burned up a little over an hour of your time here, and I think it's time to go eat lunch before the market eats it for us.
Yep.
I'm going to go and get some good food from the kitchen. I can smell something heating up right now.
Sounds like a plan.
All right, then. We'll see you guys next week. Thanks for liking and subscribing. Thanks for joining us. And, of course, if you really like finding our accuracy like we do, tell your friends. We make some killer scalps. And I'll leave you with just a quick briefing on SPY. Hit my liquidity zone. Nailed it. We've been bearish all morning on this thing, watching these breaks and just killing it. If you join us on our live streams, if you join up with the Bullish Bears here, we teach you how to find this stuff yourself, and then we'll walk you through this stuff. I chart with SPY on my Webull application to trade futures typically, but I also trade some SPY options. So if you're into that sort of thing, if you're into day trading futures or SPY or even QQQ and NQ, whatever your poison is, we'll help you with that. We help you with finding the price action and making your plans, planning your trades, trading your plans, and so forth. Well, thanks again, guys. We'll see you next week. Have a wonderful weekend.